In this video, we show you why some channels in Apollo's I/O matrix may appear grayed out and how to resolve this. The I/O matrix lets you customize the order that your Apollo's inputs and outputs appear in your DAW application. When channels in the I/O matrix appear grayed out, this means that they're currently being used by a feature or routing within console and cannot be used by your DAW application. These channels will still show up in the DAW but will not pass audio. Features in console that will cause channels to become unavailable in your DAW include Q mirroring, alt monitoring, flex routing, and channel DSP pairing. 1. Q mirroring. When Qs are mirrored to an output pair from the Q outputs panel in console, these outputs cannot be routed to directly from your DAW. To send audio to these outputs from your DAW without removing the mirroring, set the Q source to the corresponding Q mix and route the Q channels from within your DAW. If you're not using these outputs for Q sends in console, then undo the mirroring by selecting None so that the outputs become available for direct routing from within the DAW. 2. Alt monitoring. Alt monitoring is used to mirror the monitor mix to a second or third set of monitors connected to the line outputs of your Apollo. Setting the alt count on the hardware tab of console settings to 1 or 2 will cause the corresponding line outputs to become unavailable in your DAW. On rack-mount Apollo models, setting the alt count to 1 causes line outputs 1 and 2 to become unavailable, and setting it to 2 causes line outputs 3 and 4 to become unavailable as well. On Apollo twin models, setting alt count to 1 causes line outputs 3 and 4 to become unavailable. If you're not using alt monitoring, set the alt count to 0 to make sure these outputs are available. 3. Flex routing. Flex routing is a feature on rack-mount Apollos that allows you to route input channels directly to output channels with minimal latency. This is done by selecting the output from the drop-down menu above the pan pots. When an input channel is flex routed to an output, that output is no longer available for routing from within the DAW. When flex routing is no longer needed, change the output back to monitor so that the previously selected outputs become available again. 4. Channel DSP Pairing. Channel DSP pairing allows you to use the power of 2 DSP cores to process UAD plugins on a single input channel in console. Channel DSP pairing uses virtual channels to bridge the DSP cores so that when this feature is activated, some or all virtual channels will be disabled, depending on how many DSP pairs are enabled. On rack-mount Apollos, 2 DSP pairs are enabled by default, which disables virtual channels 5 through 8. On desktop Apollos, 1 DSP pair is enabled by default, which disables virtual channels 3 and 4. To enable all available virtual channels, set DSP pairs to 0 by clicking the button all the way to the right.